Hello and welcome to That British Homestead. My name's Nick and today I thought we'd look at some seeds that we can grow here in Zone 9A in August. So let's get started. So August is a little bit of a funny time of year because we always associate August with harvesting and doing loads and loads of canning and storing of vegetables, but it's also a great time to be sowing some of the crops you need before the winter sort of comes in and stops everything growing. But because we are in such a warm climate, Zone 9A, we can actually store things in the ground so that they can either just wait for next year to give a harvest, or they can actually go ahead and crop before the really strong winter weather comes, because there's still a few months left to do that. We've had a bit of a rubbish year, like when it comes to warm weather crops. Wouldn't it be lovely to like pull the year back and get some really fantastic fall crops? So that's the plan here. Our plan is to knuckle down on the chilly weather crops. So let's see what we can sow at this time of year. To start off, there are some really exciting lettuces that we can sow. My absolute favourite is all year round. This is quite a hardy type and it's a butterhead lettuce, meaning that it hasn't got that bitterness to it like iceberg sometimes does, and this is a great time to do it at the end of August because then the heat is gone. To be honest, the heat's gone anyway, and it's able to get a really good hold before the winter comes, and then over winter it will stay in the ground and you can pick the outside leaves, or you can keep them in the ground. The winter will store them and you can just pull up the heads of lettuce. They're really frost hardy, so even if it freezes or it snows on them, they normally just spring back up, which is incredible. They shouldn't be bolting now, so it's a great time to set some of these in the ground. Another thing that is really great is rocket. Rocket is a really fantastic thing to be growing. It's got that peppery sort of spiciness that's fantastic in a sandwich. Another great thing to grow, and this is why I really like doing these videos, because it makes me be organised, and I'm like the most, if you know me in real life, you're like, oh, she's such a scatterbrain, she has nothing organised. I'm like seat by the pants, sort of just do things out of instinct, and I don't really plan. But this is the great thing about doing these monthly videos, they kind of help me so much. But basically what I'm going to do is spinach, and spinach is really great because you can put it in and it kind of like, you get a few baby leaves this time of year, but it overwinters super well, and after it's overwintered in the spring, I was gonna say autumn, silly Billy, in the spring you do get a load of little leaves, and I love spinach. One of my favourite things to eat is sag paneer, which is cheese in spinach, like in a creamy sauce. I love that. So I love making it at home as well, so that would be awesome if we get enough. We've been doing it with our perennial spinach as well, which is awesome. There's nothing quite like the taste of spinach. My daughter loves eating spinach too, and when it comes up to lunch boxes in September, I know I'm already talking about September, I'm sorry, but in September, when she has her lunchbox, I kind of do her sandwich or whatever she's having, and I'll put it on a bed of lettuce leaves, and she loves the lettuce to be like a crunchy sort of thing to have on there, etc. And she really enjoys it. And I think, well, that must be boosting her iron somehow. So yeah, I put a couple of handfuls in. It's so funny because she's always like, oh mummy, I only want a little bit, I only want a little bit, and you put like a few leaves in, she's like, mummy, are you running out? I said a little bit, and then she takes like huge handfuls and fills up the whole box. Bailey's decided he needs to sit on the other sofa. So yeah, it's really, it's always funny thinking about spinach. But you can just pick off the outer leaves, and that's a really great thing to do. You can sow them direct as well this time of year, which is very exciting, I know. But you want to do that once again in late August, because of the hot weather will make them bolt, which is great if you need spinach seeds, because I like to save most things from seeds as well. That's a great one to put in the greenhouse once you've pulled down all of your warm weather crops, unless you've already lost them, because I've already got blight, I've got this, I've got that. Pumpkin's doing well though, so I'm not going to be a downer. Next, oriental leaves. Oh, do you know what I absolutely love? I love pak choy. I love a stir fry. I'm really like very yummy for stir fries, especially in autumn and in spring. I really like them with like bits of chicken, etc., prawns, you name it, and I really love it. One of my favourite is pak choy. Pak choy is a beautiful, crispy, lovely leaf, I guess, but you eat the stems as well. If you haven't tried it, I recommend it. You probably have, but it's really super yummy. You have it here in ruby as well, as you can see, and ruby actually grows better in colder weather, so if you overwinter that bad boy, it's really good. You do need to pick them before spring because they do bolt, but they're fine even if they start bolting, they don't go bitter. Chinese cabbage, we know that I love Chinese cabbage. It's a really important harvest for us because you can make kimchi out of it. It's also a fantastic crunchy addition to stir fries, etc. I really like, I can't express how much I like these sort of greens, and in the shops they're fairly expensive, and I very much like buying growing things that are quite pricey in the shops that I just simply wouldn't buy from, like, you only get a teeny tiny little pack and they are rather expensive, so why not, you know what I mean? So yeah, if you haven't tried them, go through the oriental leaves. Another thing is broccoli rabe. Broccoli rabe is brassica, and you have to sow this direct. I've tried to pot it on. You can sow this all the way up to September, but it is like a more bitter version of a broccoli, but you do need to sow it direct, and I'm being serious because it takes 60 days to go from seed to harvest, which is just 2 months. It's ridiculous, isn't it? This one is literally called 60 days. It's really good. It's slightly bitter. It's nice in a stir fry. How many times have I said stir fry? Quite a few, I'm thinking. Spring onions is another one. Spring onions don't have to be just sown in spring. You can sow them now. I have this spring onion, which I think is quite cute. It's called a Northern Holland Blooded, which is a blood red spring onion, so I think it makes it look a little bit special. I know that some people are quite nervous about growing onions like all year round because of the onion mould, which is called white rot. Sorry, my brain. So yeah, I know that's an issue, but if you aren't concerned about that, or you put new soil onto the ground, it's a great option to have in soups and stuff like that, because I think it gives it that sort of crunch, especially as you go into the winter months, and you know, from winter for summer I'm like tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, yum 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 yum, but as you go into like the winter months, all I want to do is eat roasted food or soups and stuff. I'm so hoping my butternut squash has done well. I started saying to my mum, I was like, why we don't have any butternut squash? She was like, you said that you hated them last year and you planted too many. I was like, well, that was last year, this is not this year. Oh, honestly. Turnips is another great thing, and I have been persuaded to try turnips again. Maybe they will make an appearance this year. They are a bit of a strong flavour. My daughter Jasmine absolutely loves a strong flavour. We always joke about this in our family because my daughter doesn't eat potatoes. She can't stand potatoes, right? She finds them really revolting, and she won't even eat them. Like, she won't even eat chips. And she went out with one of her friends the other day, and she was staying overnight, and she goes to her mummy and she's like, oh mummy, I don't know what Jasmine's gonna eat, she doesn't eat potatoes. And her mum's like, what will she eat? I was like, she eats everything, she doesn't eat potatoes. And she was like everything. I was like, she eats Brussels sprouts, she loves parsnips, she loves like smoked fish, she likes mussels, she likes steak, she will eat everything but potatoes, and it was just like shell shocking. But yeah, we always joke that Jasmine loves a strong flavour because she loves really strong flavoured vegetables. So I reckon she'll like turnips. She does like parsnips and root vegetables and vegetable crisps, especially when you know, when you do them really crunchy and they're crispy and yummy. She loves those. So I'm thinking that probably she will like the turnips. And if I don't like them, I could always turn them into vegetable crisps, which is a way that we kind of use up root vegetables around the house. If we, if we don't have, you know, a purpose for them and they're getting a little bit like squishy in the fridge, I do turn them into vegetable crisps. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I eat pretty much all of them whilst I'm cooking them because they're so moorish. But maybe that's a great way of getting, you know, vegetables in there, and you can do it in the dehumidifier as well, which is nice. So turnips you can grow from August all the way to mid-September, and you need to put them in directly, but make sure that you sow them quite sparsely. So if you do oversow them, I always oversow everything. You can go ahead and come back and just pull a couple of them up, and it's no problem at all. But you do need to make sure that you mesh them because of the butterflies and the pigeons, etc., because they are brassica, and we all know that pigeons love brassicas. So chicory is a golden oldie. It's a really hardy root, but you eat the leaves off of it, so it is a very exciting one to go ahead and sow this month. You can actually sow it all the way up until September, which is very exciting. So if you sow it in August, you can go ahead and overwinter until February, where you will be able to get a crop, and it has a very long cropping season from February to September. Cabbages are an absolute great one. Spring cabbages, for example, this one is called Imperial. I like a spring cabbage. As you know, they're normally conical in shape. I have found 1 or 2 circular spring cabbages, but what you don't want to fall down a hole with is that I always used to think that winter cabbages, like sequoia cabbage, it's one of my favourite cabbages, I'm always wanting to put them out in the, to sow them now for winter. You can't do that. So make sure that you are checking your dates, because I fell into that hole for years and I was like, why am I so bad at growing cabbages? No, you're not rubbish at growing cabbages. Well, you might be anyway, but the main thing is you need to check the dates and put them in when they're needed. So you can actually sow these spring cabbages either in modules like I do, or you can go ahead and sow them outside. What I like to do is sow them in modules and have them started off on a seed table outside, and then when they get to a sizable size, about that big, 2-3 inches, I go ahead and put them under a mesh because of the birds, pigeons and butterflies, and then I make sure that they have the best start possible. Cabbage butterflies are still a massive issue, especially as you go later in the season, because they will hibernate in the soil underneath your cabbages, and you don't want that. But make sure that if you are putting the meshes over, make sure that you tuck the sides in properly so that there's no little gaps, because I can't tell you how many times I've gone over the allotment and saw birds trapped in netting. I think this season alone, I've let 2 out, okay, that I've seen, especially when they fly in, they can't really find their way out, and it's very exhausting for them to fly into netting continuously. So just make sure that you are completely covering it, because it's not a nice way to die, is it? And you're probably thinking I didn't want them to eat my food, but you know what, they're going to find a way. Chard is another great one. We're actually buckling down on the perennial spinach, which is really great. Whenever it tries to go to seed, I just snap the seed head off of it, give it to the chickens, and I find that a really fantastic way of keeping that forever cropping. We've had absolutely loads of perennial spinach coming in, and like I said, we use it for things like anything you'd use spinach for, I use it in there, and it wilts down, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. I even use it in sandwiches, it's great. Chard though, you can get rainbow chard, which is a really bright way of brightening up a salad, etc. I love the baby leaves when they get a little bit longer but not too old. I like the stems because I think they look so beautiful in a stir fry. I know I've said stir fry about 1,000,000 times, but I do think they're really, really beautiful and really, really nice to have. And you can just go ahead and start them in modules, which I prefer to do, especially in August, because you can actually have a proper winter crop, which is lovely. Chinese onions is Japanese onions, another good one to start in August. Ones like radar, I think I grew radar a few months back. I am going to probably push over to more seeds onions than starts, because they've done so well this year, which is impressive. And I'm going to slowly get better than that over the month. Kohlrabi is another fantastic one to grow. You can get it for smaller kohlrabis, and they're really great, grated up, eaten. I find them really nice as crudité. I just dip them into some hummus or whatever, a tahini that I'm eating, and I really like them. I put them with carrots and cucumbers and stuff like that, and I find them so yummy to just snack on. People who aren't that used to use, sorry, the ducks arguing with me. They're not quite used to kohlrabi, so it is something that you do have to explain to people, but most people like it. It tastes like the stem of a broccoli, if that makes sense. So if you sow it now, it will be able to be harvested in late October, where we're kind of getting sick of the tomatoes and they're dying off. You have another fresh, crunchy vegetable able to come in. You can eat the leaves as a baby salad, and you can eat them swollen stems, which are honestly very, very yummy. and they're not something that you kind of get in the UK very much in supermarkets, so it's quite nice. You can roast them, you can put them in a stew, or you can eat them raw. My personal favourite is to eat them raw because I find them so yummy. They don't last to be able to be cooked. There's other things that you can grow. For example, French beans, you can still be sowing those. This variety is called Sunshine. They're a climbing variety. You can actually sow them all the way up until September to have fresh beans, which is exciting. Radishes is another great one. 30 days for a radish in the spring, a little bit longer now that the days are shorter. But it is a great one to have, especially as things start to cool off. As it starts to cool off, you get a more mild radish. What I love with radishes, and I'm going to do this every year, is allowing them to go to seed and eating the seed pods of the radish. I really like them. They're called rat tails, which is a horrible name for them. They're really nice, really juicy, really, really delicate flavour and really yummy. Another one to talk about radishes is a winter radish. A winter radish is a hardier version of a radish. They remind me a lot of beetroots because they're quite a tough skin, but they're really super yummy. Another thing you can sow, and this is pretty much all year round if you want to do it indoors, is herbs. You can have little seed herbs all year round. You've got your cress. Cress is probably one of the first things I start growing. I really like egg cress sandwiches. Love them. Then you've got, for example, basil. Basil's a great one to partner with tomatoes and have in pretty much everything. Really makes it vibrant. Pasta, pizzas, oh, it just makes everything really pop. Parsley, we absolutely love parsley sauce, which is a fish sauce with parsley in it. It sounds gross, but it is a traditional English food. There could be a reason why we are told that English food is the worst. No, it's really good. We like to have pie and mash quite a lot, but we make it at home. Obviously Jasmine forgoes the mashed potatoes, but it is really, really yummy having it like that. Now there are some flowers that you can go ahead and sow this year to have like a very good harvest next year. They probably won't flower this time of year. Larkspur is one of them. It's a great one. If you sow it now, you can sow it from March until October for quite a long time, and you'll be able to get flowers from June all the way until September, which is ideal. Think of all of those hungry, poor pollinators that are starting to die off. The flowers are starting to die off, they don't have anything to eat, so I try to have flowers out most of the time. Foxglove is another one. This is a great one because it's actually local to the UK and native to the UK, I should say, but you do have to be careful with young children because it is poisonous. So if you do have young children, perhaps give that one a miss. You got pot marigolds, which are really fantastic to have this time of year. So if you go ahead and plant them, you'll be able to get flowers in spring when you have all of the pollinators ready to come out and looking for pollen. They're super hardy, and all you have to do is sow them directly, which is exciting. Cornflower is another one that you can sow in August, and you'll be able to get flowers in May, which will be lovely, beautiful. I've seen pink ones and obviously the blue ones. Forget-me-nots is a lovely flower to be sowing again in August. I love forget-me-nots. They remind me of my nan. She used to grow them, kind of like she had a fence, and then she had like a little strip of land, and then she had her patio, and the strip was only about this much, like 3-4 inches, and she grew forget-me-nots there, and they used to trowel, and they looked absolutely breathtaking. They're really fantastic companion planted with turnips, so if you're already taking that advice, perhaps planting those up would be great. They do spread like wildfire, so just be a little bit careful about where you sow them because they are going to spread. California poppies is another one. Poppies in general really do well overwintering. I think that they're beautiful, being one of the first flowers that come up, because I just think they're absolutely breathtaking, and the bees absolutely love them. I hear that they have quite high protein pollen, and it's important for them to have that like early in the season, so it's a really fantastic one to grow for them. Wild carrots is another one. You can I've pretty much let all my carrots go to seed, and I'll go ahead and chop all of their seeds and keep them for next year. But it's another one that is absolutely spectacular and great to have in like a sort of wildflower outlet in your allotment, which is just beautiful, brings all the pollinators in, and we need those so that we're able to grow any form of vegetables. I think it's like 65% of all vegetables are pollinated by insects, which is incredible. I can only think of you've got strawberries, you've got potatoes, you've got Jerusalem artichokes, and you've got corn. That's the only ones I can think of off the top of my head. Sweet potatoes as well, that are done by the tubers or ribosomes. Most things are bees are doing all the hard work for us. So we need to look after them. So thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't done already, please consider subscribing, because we can do a lot of things here, but we can't grow without you. So I'm looking forward to seeing how we get along. And if you think I've missed something, please go ahead and comment below, because you probably have. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.